If there was just one area that you could master in personal growth, what would it be and why? I ask that because most people are off trying to chase money or chase success. But what if I could tell you there was one area that if you don't master this first, it doesn't matter how successful you are, you're not going to feel great. My name is Peter Sage, and after 3 decades of studying personal growth and human behavior, I've come to the conclusion that there is one area, one skill, that if you don't master, nothing else happens. And we're bombarded these days with, learning how to do goal setting or time management or speed reading or other aspects of personal growth that we think are going to help us become more successful. But at the end of the day, everything that we are chasing leads to a feeling, leads to an emotion. So if you don't know how to master your emotions on a daily basis, I don't care how much money you make. You could be a billionaire, and I've had billionaires come to me for coaching because they didn't know how to process the grieving after effects of losing their brother. I've had people come to me who are, by all accounts, the most successful people in their field on earth, with resumes that run into 100 pages, that feel depressed because they don't think they're good enough. So if you don't know how to deal with your emotions, it's because you haven't prioritized understanding that the quality of your life is expressed in your consistent emotional states. Now, there's a big difference here between where do you live and where do you visit. As human beings, we are designed to feel the entire range of emotions. I wanted to be able to grieve at my mother's funeral, but some people get trapped there for years, as opposed to allowing negative emotions when they arise to run their course, process, leave the body, and then allow you to move forward on an empowering destination rather than drag the ball and chain of your mismanaged imagination linked to past significant emotional events around with you, preventing you from living the life you were born to live. So when we think about it, what are emotions? And where do they come from? Who creates them? Well, emotions are the after effects of thoughts. I'll say that again. Emotions are the biochemistry that allows you to feel certain feelings based upon thoughts you've been thinking. Give you an example. Let's say you are driving down the freeway and you've not really been keeping an eye on your speed. You're listening to your favorite song. You think you're doing okay. And all of a sudden there's a blue light and a police car behind you. What happens to your emotional state at that point? Yes, your blood pressure goes up, your cortisol rises, your heartbeat increases, and then all of a sudden you realize the police car overtakes you and he's chasing somebody else. What happens? Now again, the blue light didn't create the emotions. Your perception of what you made that blue light mean in that scenario, both before and after, is what created those thoughts that then created a cascade of biochemistry in the body that we feel as an emotion. Now, if we're constantly reacting to our emotions, or we're allowing other people to trigger us and our thoughts on our emotions, as I said, I don't care how much money you got. I don't care how great you are at getting goals. I don't care how great you are at being efficient with your time. You're going to live a life constantly in stress, constantly aging faster, constantly being worried. Because if you are programming yourself through fear because you don't know how to calm yourself, you're setting yourself up for a lifetime of frustration. Again, where do you live? Where do you visit? We all fall off the horse as human beings. But it's about not falling off as often. It's about not hitting the ground as hard. It's about getting back on the horse faster than sitting there moaning about why we can't get back on the horse. So when it comes to emotions, what are you doing to be able to master your emotions? If somebody comes up and calls you a nasty name or writes some comment on what I call anti-social media, then how do most people react? Oh, how dare they? And then, cortisol rises. Boom. Now you're already in the game. Your anger, your frustration, your negative emotions are now running you rather than you running them. What would it be like to be a master of your emotions? Someone comes up and calls you a nasty name, and you look at them, and instead of getting triggered, you see how frustrated this person must be in their own life to be projecting their fears, insecurities, and anger and frustration onto other people they don't even know for whatever reason. You don't get hooked in. You don't get bought into what I call OPD, or other people's drama. So when you're able to master your own emotions, you consistently live in a state of calm. See, if you are always triggered, if your emotions are running you, especially if you're watching the lamestream media with whatever the latest fear porn of the month is, then you are programming your emotions into a fear reactive state, which means when somebody offers you an opportunity, you're going to look at it and the first thing you'll see is, where can it go wrong? Oh, what happens if I lose? If you know how to master your emotions so that the consistent place that you live is more calm, curiosity, joy, fun, fulfillment, and somebody puts an opportunity there, you're going to ask better questions. Not, oh, what could happen if it goes wrong? Great focus. You can say, okay, what would have to happen for me to be able to succeed at this? What would have to happen for me to learn more about this to see if it's a right fit for me? You're not distracted by fear. You're not distracted by a go-to emotional state. And when we're under stress, if you want to know where your go-to emotional state is, just look at what happens when you get triggered. So if you want to learn how to master your emotions, because there are specific techniques, it doesn't matter on your background or where you're at, that we teach as part of our Elite Mentorship Forum, then that is something that I would encourage you to spend your focus on. Go master your emotions and you'll discover there is a huge difference between a life-chasing success and a life-chasing fulfillment. And you don't want to be on the wrong side of that equation. Get to the top of Success Mountain and want to jump off because you don't like the view. Seen that happen too many times. So yeah, we teach an entire module on being able to master your own emotions rather than master you. If you'd like to know more about that, click the link below and come and join thousands of our students in the Elite Mentorship Forum, where you can become a master of your own emotions and so much more.